Picture a colossal factory on the outskirts of Shanghai, its smokestacks puffing steam into a steel gray sky, while just a few miles away, the streets pulse with frenetic energy. Crowds swarm shopping. Malls' giant screens flash with enticing promotions, and delivery scooters weave through pedestrians. This is China today, a nation where the economy seems to teeter on a tightrope, caught between a slowing industrial engine and a consumer spending spree that's defying all expectations. It's a gripping paradox, an economic saga blending hope, uncertainty, and resilience. And it matters to everyone because what happens in the world's second-largest economy sends shockwaves across the globe. In June 2025, China stands at a pivotal moment. Its industrial juggernaut is losing steam, yet its consumers are spending with newfound vigor. Why this contrast? What's at stake? Most importantly, what does it mean for millions of Chinese citizens and the rest of the world? Let's dive into this story, where numbers tell tales of lives, policies shape destinies, and every decision could shift the balance. In May 2025, the official figures hit like a summer rain. China's industrial output grew by 5.8% year-on-year, a slowdown from April's 6.1%, and a disappointment against analysts' expectations of 5.9%. It's the slowest pace since November 2024, a sign that the factories along the powerhouse of China's economy are struggling to keep up. Meanwhile, retail sales, the pulse of consumer spending, surged by 6.4%, smashing forecasts of 5% and marking the strongest gains since December 2023. The contrast is stark. On one side, assembly lines are decelerating, bogged down by global headwinds. On the other, Chinese consumers are spending like never before, now fueled by online shopping festivals like 618 and generous government subsidies. This economic tableau is like an orchestra, where the violins play a soaring melody while the drums falter. But why this dissonance, and why does it matter so urgently today? The context is tense. China is navigating a global economic storm, marked by a fragile truce with the United States and their ongoing trade war. Tariffs imposed during the Trump administration, still in place, are weighing heavily on Chinese exports, which plummeted 34.5% to the U.S. in Motha's steepest drop since February 2020. These trade barriers are forcing factories to idle, as much of their output hinges on foreign demand. Add to that a chronic real estate crisis, with housing prices stagnating, locking up household savings and denting confidence. Yet, amid these challenges, Chinese consumers seem to defy gravity. Spending during the Labor Day and Dragon Boat Festival holidays exploded, boosted by promotions and a state-backed program to trade in old appliances. Food sales soared 14.6%, tobacco and alcohol jumped 11.2%, and even clothing rose 4%. But is this boom sustainable, or just a fleeting firework in a stormy economic sky? The cast of this story is vast. First, there's the Chinese government playing the role of conductor. Facing the threat of U.S. tariffs and weak domestic demand, Beijing has rolled out a slew of measures to jolt the economy. The People's Bank of China has cut interest rates and bank reserve requirements, pumping liquidity to spur lending and support businesses. Massive subsidies have been deployed to encourage consumers to replace old appliances with new ones, a strategy that's clearly paid off in the short term. Then there are the businesses, big and small, juggling the challenges of exports and the need to capture an often fickle domestic market. Tech giants behind e-commerce platforms are reaping the rewards of this shopping frenzy, while exporting into factories, especially in steel and electronics, feel the sting of trade sanctions. Finally, there are the Chinese people themselves, millions of workers, consumers, and families whose spending and saving decisions are shaping the economy's future. Why is this urgent? Because China, with its $19 trillion economy, is no isolated player. When its factories slow, global supply chains shudder, from Australian minerals to Taiwanese semiconductors. When its consumers spend, it props up businesses worldwide, from European luxury brands to South American soybean farmers. But more than that, this contrast between production and consumption reveals a deeper truth. China is in the midst of a transformation, striving to rebalance its economy from one driven by exports and investment to one fueled by domestic demand. This shift, accelerated by external pressures and internal challenges, could reshape the global balance for years to come. Let's unpack the stakes. Economically, the industrial slowdown is worrisome. Chinese factories, producing everything from smartphones to solar panels, face a double bind: slumping foreign demand, worsened by U.S. tariffs, and growing competition in alternative markets like Southeast Asia. This slowdown translates to weaker growth in fixed asset investment, which rose just 3.7% in the first 5 months of 2025, down from 4% in the first 4. It signals corporate hesitation to invest in new capacity amid uncertainty. Yet the manufacturing sector shows pockets of resilience, particularly in high-tech fields like electric vehicles, where China continues to innovate and dominate. Socially, the retail sales surge is a breath of fresh air. Urban unemployment dipped slightly to 5% in May, a sign that job support measures are working. But this uptick masks vulnerabilities. Consumer confidence remains shaky, weighed down by the real estate crisis that's tying up much of their wealth. Politically, the Chinese government is under pressure to hit its 5% growth target for 2025, a lofty goal amid these headwinds. Leaders know that social stability stability hinges on economic prosperity. They're pulling out all the stops to boost consumption, even if it means widening the fiscal deficit. Looking beyond China's borders, parallels emerge. The situation echoes Japan in the 1990s, where a real estate crisis and export reliance forced a painful economic pivot. But unlike Japan, China has a massive domestic market and unmatched state intervention powers. India offers another comparison, where consumer subsidies have sometimes spurred short-term growth but failed to address structural issues. These parallels show China at a crossroads. It could either succeed in transitioning to a consumption-driven economy or get mired in sluggish growth, hampered by debt and trade tensions. For Chinese citizens, the implications are tangible. Subsidies and shopping festivals have made consumer goods more accessible, but many still hesitate to spend, fearing for their financial future. Young people in particular face a tight job market, despite the slight dip in unemployment. For factory workers, the production slowdown could mean reduced hours or layoffs, especially in export-exposed sectors. Globally, businesses reliant on China for supply chains or markets must adapt to this new reality. Tariffs, for instance, have pushed some firms to shift supply chains to Vietnam or India, a trend that could reshape global trade flows. In conclusion, China's economy in June 2025 is a vivid tapestry, where the shadows of industrial slowdown mingle with the brilliance of resurgent consumption. This isn't just a story of numbers, but a human saga where millions navigate hope and uncertainty. The Chinese government, with its powerful levers, is striving to keep the balance, but the path is fraught. Foreign tariffs, a real estate crisis, and an economic transition that demands time. For the world, it's a reminder that China remains a linchpin, capable of swaying prices, jobs, and markets far beyond its borders. So what's the takeaway? That the global economy is more interconnected than ever, and the choices made in Beijing echo in Paris, New York, or Nairobi. What do you make of this economic tightrope act? Share your reflections, because in a world this intertwined, every voice matters.